Hey, I'm Valley. I'm a mixed media artist in Birmingham, Alabama, and I have something to share with you. I thought I would just tell you a little bit about my process for painting wine and champagne bottles. So I have a handful that I need to do for an event coming up, a corporate event. I will be doing some bottles for centerpieces for a big gala. And I thought it might be interesting or fun for you to see some of the process. And I will be doing a tutorial so you could paint right along with me and paint your own wine bottle coming up. So I'll give plenty of notice before I go live doing that. But I just thought I'd give you a little behind the scenes on my process. So they have provided several cases of empty wine bottles. Now, usually when I do these for custom orders, they're full because people are giving them as gifts. But in this case, they are using empty ones because they're gonna make centerpieces and they needed the bottle to be empty. So they provided those for me. And I learned a long time ago that it is not worth trying to remove the labels. So I don't worry about the labels. And in this case, I'm gonna paint right over the labels. Sometimes if it's a very special bottle, if the brand is important or if it came from a special location or something memorable and the label is important to you, then I would not cover the label. But in this case, we don't care about the label, so I'm gonna be painting right over that. Something else to think about when you're painting wine bottles or champagne bottles is I wanted to show you this one. I don't know if you can see. This one is kind of bumpy or embossed, which it's nice for their label, for their wine, but when I'm painting a design, I would not want that on my bottle that I'm gonna paint because that's gonna get in the way of any of my designs. Now, I could probably work around it somehow with my design, but it wouldn't be my favorite thing. So we start off with a plain wine bottle like this. And I've been testing out a few different ways to do it. So right now, what I have been doing, and for years I've been using this process, is I want to prime the bottle first. Well, actually, you want to wipe it down and clean the bottle. You just want to wipe it clean, make sure that there's nothing on the bottle. And then I will spray paint primer. Now this is just from Ace Hardware, but I also have really good luck with Krylon, the brand Krylon. I love that brand. And primer is better than spray painting in just white because most of the time your white spray paint is gonna have a sheen. It's gonna be too slick. So when we come back and we try to do a design on there, it just doesn't work. The paint won't adhere to that, so you want to do primer. Another thing that you could do, and what I'm gonna be showing you here in a minute, is you can just use chalk paint. And I just happen to have this just inexpensive brand, Craft Smart, and I believe I got that at Michael's. You can go up in the grade of paint, but honestly, this is gonna be just fine because it's not gonna be my background color. Most of the time, my bottles don't end up with a white background. It just depends on the design. And so for my purposes, this inexpensive brand is gonna be just fine. So what I did earlier is I did go ahead and spray paint a handful of these bottles. And now I just wanted to show you how I get the chalk paint on there. Another hack that I use in my art studio a lot is this little handy dandy little tool here. A long time ago, I used to do pottery and ceramics, and in pottery, it would be called a banding wheel, but this is actually from Michael's, and this is what cake and cupcake decorators use to put their cakes on top of it. While they're decorating it, they can, turn it around, and it is so handy when you're working on something like a wine bottle or any kind of piece of art that you wanna, you need to turn. It's such a handy little tool. So I'm gonna set this in the middle. Now, when I'm painting the background color, it doesn't really matter if it's centered, but if I were painting a design like stripes or something that needs to have some sort of an order to it, it would matter that you put it right in the center. Now, mine has a lot of paint on it, but it started out with a center dot, I believe, and maybe a circle. So just eyeball it like I do. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I'm gonna put that in the middle, and I'm gonna get a large brush like this, and I'm just gonna paint up and down in even strokes. And you know, since I'm gonna turn this heater off. It's kind of cold out here. I'm in my garage, so a lot of times I have a space heater, but that was loud and I was getting hot. But you're just gonna paint up and down. I'm gonna turn that around. You can see how it's starting to cover a little bit better. And sometimes the spray, now it's really cold where I am right now, and I think that the cold air was having an effect on the aerosol can, so it wasn't spraying as nicely as I like and as evenly as I like. So that's another reason I'm coming back with a second coat of something else. Some people who paint bottles will only do chalk paint as their base, and then they will go over that with their design. But if I leave the label on my bottle, I want to make sure that the label is not showing through. So that is why I do 2 coats. Do a little bit more so you can see. I want to make sure that this label is covered. I want you to see, let's see if you can tell. I'm gonna hold it up close. So I don't know if you can tell. See that you can tell the label is showing, and around front you can see that the label is showing through. But I'm gonna paint over it and show you the difference. And also after this dries, it's gonna be even more solid. So do a little bit more so you can see how this covers it nicely, and it's gonna give us a really great base for our design. Okay, now as you're doing this, you want to watch out for drips and don't let the paint get lumpy, because you want it to be as smooth as possible when you're painting your design. All right. Okay, I'm gonna show you. Lay that down. Here is where the label is, and you can't even see it, right? You can't even see the label. And so now it's gonna be ready for me to come back and give some personality and some color and make it really, really special. And I will share more with you later, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of this process. Thanks.